Lilith the demon transforms into a seductive adult woman and enters the human world with dark intentions. Meanwhile, an elderly woman named Sadie has a premonition about the coming events, but she is too frightened to act on it. Lilith begins a romance with Joseph Crenshaw, a senior editor at a fashion magazine called Siren, and asks him to put her on the cover. He promises to consider it. One night, she appears at Joseph's house and tries to seduce him. Despite wanting to keep the affair secret, he gives in and brings her into his marital bed while his wife is still asleep beside them. As they begin to be intimate, Mrs. Crenshaw wakes up, confused to see her husband cheating right next to her. Before she can react, Lilith slashes her throat and kills her. Joseph's young son wakes up from the noise and runs into the bedroom. Horrified by the bloody scene, he flees. By the end of the night, Lilith murders the entire family and collects their souls. The next morning, news of Joseph's death spreads through the office, shocking everyone. Rita, the magazine's editor, gathers the staff to officially inform them, but still insists they attend the international launch party scheduled for that same night. Rod, Craig, and Ken, who were close friends of Joseph, are devastated but try to stay strong. Later that night, the party goes on as planned, and everyone attends in Joseph's memory. Ken and Rod arrive together, while Rod brings a beautiful date. Rita introduces her sister Kirsty, a talented jewelry designer, to Craig and Ken. Craig is immediately drawn to her beauty and begins flirting, and she responds kindly. Out of respect for their late colleague, everyone tries to keep things composed, until Lilith enters. Dressed seductively, she captures everyone's attention. She walks slowly across the room as the men stare, unable to look away, and heads to the bar where Craig and Ken are. Ken becomes completely captivated and begins following her everywhere. Lilith briefly tries to come between Kirsty and Craig, then moves to the dance floor, dancing alone while Ken mimics her movements. She climbs onto the bar, pretending to be a stripper, continuing to dance as the entire party stops to watch her. Rod leaves his date and joins her on the dance floor, ignoring Ken's objections. He shocks everyone by pulling Lilith close and dancing intimately with her, which angers his date, causing her to leave the party. After a few minutes, Rod and Lilith leave together in search of privacy, with Ken following closely behind. Lilith takes Rod to a hotel, where they begin to get intimate right in the lobby, while Ken watches through the glass doors. As Lilith begins to undress, she retreats into a room. Suddenly, a bright light flashes, and at the same moment the glass doors shatter, severely injuring Ken. Rod follows her inside, where she steals his soul and vanishes into the night. The next morning, Rita informs Craig of Rod's death, leaving him devastated. She adds that she is now the main suspect in the eyes of the police, since she would inherit the magazine after Joseph's death. Craig comforts her and promises to support her through what's coming. Later that day, Craig reviews photos from the party and wonders who Lilith is and how she was invited. Kirsty enters the office and shows him her jewelry designs. He is impressed by her talent and promises to feature them in the next photo shoot. They get along well and he invites her to dinner that night. As he leaves the office, Craig runs into Lilith, who has arrived for an interview with Rita. When told about Rod's death, she reacts with complete indifference. Craig then goes to the hospital to visit Ken, who is bedridden with a serious leg fracture. They talk briefly, but Ken suddenly goes into convulsions as he recalls the night and Lilith's face. Later, Craig goes to Rita's house to pick up Kirsty, but is disappointed to find Lilith there. Still, he and Kirsty leave for dinner and spend the evening walking through the city before returning to his apartment to talk and get to know each other better. Meanwhile, at Rita's house, Lilith seduces her and convinces her to put her on the cover of the next issue. The following morning, when Craig arrives at work, Sadie approaches him and tries to warn him about Lilith, but does so poorly that he ignores her and walks away. Inside, he learns that Rita has discarded the previously agreed cover and scheduled a new photo shoot. Furious, he confronts her in the middle of the session, questioning the sudden change. However, she seems to be in a trance, ignoring his concerns and following Lilith's directions without hesitation. Craig tries to put Lilith in her place, but she subtly asserts control, making it clear that he is no longer in charge. As Rita apologizes to Lilith, he checks on Kirsty to make sure she is okay, then takes her home. Outside, Sadie, who has been waiting all day, tries once more to speak with him, but he brushes her off and leaves. Craig brings Kirsty to his apartment, where they spend the night together. During the night, he wakes up screaming from a vivid nightmare. She calms him and gives him a necklace with an amethyst stone, said to ward off evil. The next day, the photos of Lilith are revealed, and they seem to hypnotize anyone who looks at them. Craig arrives at the office furious upon discovering that Lilith has no resume. He takes the photos and begins reviewing them, intending to filter them for publication. The office phone rings and snaps him out of his trance. He realizes, sweating, that several hours have passed while he stared at the images. Struggling, he answers the call. It is Kirsty, panicked, saying that Rita has thrown her out of the house. He tells her to meet him at a nearby bar and heads there. He arrives first and goes to the restroom to freshen up. Meanwhile, Lilith takes Kirsty's form and meets him before he reaches the bathroom, leading him to a secluded place. There, he walks into a room filled with people lost in disturbing, sadomasochistic acts, as if it were a glimpse of hell. At the same time, Kirsty reaches the bar and waits. Sadie approaches her and tells her what Lilith did to her husband, Louis, years ago. Back in the underworld-like setting, Craig, though terrified, cannot escape and keeps following the seductress. Finally, Lilith reveals her true identity and tries to seduce him, attempting to tear out his heart, but fails. Barely able to recover, Craig crawls back to the bar and collapses, shocking Kirsty. She and Sadie take him to Sadie's home. Hours later, he regains consciousness and drinks a potion she prepares. Sadie explains that he was protected from Lilith's power thanks to the amethyst, which represents Kirsty's true love for him. She adds that the next night marks the 6th day of the dark moon, when Lilith will be at her strongest and will try to claim his soul, because she desires the soul of a man in love. Craig and Kirsty think of Rita and rush to help her, with Sadie following. They arrive at the office, where she warns them not to let Craig separate from Kirsty before they go inside. Inside, the place is in silent chaos. Everyone is in a trance, whispering inaudible warnings in corners. They reach Rita's office and find her surrounded by men, eagerly presenting ideas for the new issue. Horrified, Craig and Kirsty slowly back away. Meanwhile, the staff, under Lilith's spell, including the injured Ken, turn against them, chasing them and threatening to kill them. After an exhausting escape, Craig and Kirsty lock themselves inside a storage room and jump out the window. Outside, Ken catches up to them, strikes Craig and kidnaps Kirsty, forcing her into his car as the others close in on him. At that moment, Sadie arrives in her old car and rescues him. She assures him she knows where to find Lilith and promises to help him save Kirsty. Meanwhile, Ken stops in a wooded area and confesses his love to Kirsty, attempting to assault her. She seizes the moment, drives an iron bar into his injured leg, and escapes into the forest as he screams in pain. Moments later, he regains composure and goes after her. Elsewhere, Sadie drives Craig to the forest, gives him a flashlight and a special dagger, and they enter the woods together. Deep among the trees, Ken finds Kirsty again and is about to attack her when Lilith appears. He stops immediately and approaches the demon, declaring his loyalty. Without mercy, Lilith drives her sharp nails through his body, reaching his heart and restoring her strength with his blood. After walking a long distance, Sadie grows exhausted and decides to stay behind. She hands Craig the dagger and tells him to stab Lilith in the heart. Encouraging him, she sends him forward to rescue the woman he loves. Craig continues alone, pushing deeper into the forest in search of any sign, while Kirsty, elsewhere among the trees, encounters Sadie. The old woman wishes her luck and sends her on her way before collapsing from exhaustion. Craig keeps searching desperately until he finally spots Lilith in the distance. Quietly, he approaches her from behind, but just as he tries to strike, she turns, catches his hand, and throws the dagger away. She begins to seduce him, and he quickly falls under her spell, even obeying when she tells him to remove the amethyst necklace. She lays him on the ground and starts piercing his chest, searching for his heart. At that exact moment, Kirsty arrives and witnesses the horrifying scene. Through the pain, Craig declares his love for her. This enrages Lilith, who transforms into her true demonic form, large and grotesque. The creature advances toward them, ready to finish them both. At the last second, Sadie, having dragged herself there, picks up the dagger. Waiting for the right moment, she drives it into the demon's heart with all her strength. the old woman breaks into tears of gratitude, praying and thanking the Lord for surviving. At last, the couple embraces, overwhelmed. Weeks later, Craig has a nightmare in which Lilith comes to life from the cover of a magazine and tries to attack him. The story ends as he wakes up in shock, scans the room, sees Lilith on the magazine cover, and is left deeply unsettled, unable to tell whether it is real or just a dream. Holding on to Kirsty, he can only hope everything is truly over. And with this, the movie ends. Don't forget to check out my channel, subscribe, and catch all the latest videos.